Welcome to Life Happens, where Texans come to protect their legacy and prepare for the second half of life. Join your host, attorney Kim Hegwood of Your Legacy Legal Care, and our weekly guest as we navigate the challenges that emerge as life happens. Now here's your host, Kim Hegwood.
Good morning and welcome to Life Happens with me, Kim Hegwood, and our very special guest today is Brittany Bain, and she is with Mesquite Psychotherapy and Consulting. Good morning.
Good morning, Kim. Thank you for having me.
Well, you do some things that I find that are very fascinating and stuff that we want to make sure that our clients are aware that, this kind of stuff is out there. And we're going to be talking about psychotherapy for dementia patients and their families. And I think a lot of times people, they go through this diagnosis, but I think therapy would help, in that aspect of just having someone to talk to. So let's kind of get some background here, so people kind of know who you are. Can you describe your experience working with elderly individuals diagnosed with either, dementia or Alzheimer's?
Right. Yes. So I have 22 years healthcare experience. In the past 8 years, I have spent in senior living as a memory care director, serving our aging population, living with dementia, cognitive challenges of many sorts.
Well, you don't look old enough. And so I was like, yeah, you can call your mom and tell her, thank you for great genes, right?
Thank you.
So I think a lot of times, when you spend your days, with someone who has, cognitive decline or, memory issues, it definitely gives you a new feel for, what can we do better?
Right.
And so how can families create a supportive or stimulating environment for somebody with dementia? Because I'm sure that's something y'all think about all the time and, in your facilities.
Absolutely. So it starts off learning about the person. Person-centered care is a huge support for me. It's a huge support for families, and that's what we navigate with. Learning what their new routine is looking like. A lot of families come into our facilities very nervous, scared, very confused. But it starts even at home. I love to be able to educate families when it even starts at home, to be able to have that stimulating environment, routine, be creative in the day. Every day is a new day for them, and get them excited about it, because when you're excited, they get excited. And they're very curious. And so I love entering the day with that approach. And I tell the families the same thing, especially if they're still at home and they're just doing tours from one facility to the other.
And so what have you found that were some good strategies to use to promote, that person-centered care for residents that have a diagnosis of dementia or Alzheimer's?
Right. So how I look at it is every individual is very unique and their journey is very unique. And so learning about their life story, learning about what their day structure looks like. Keep that routine. It can change up through the week, but keep it, routine. Start their day really welcoming and bright, not rushed, inviting. Let them participate as much as possible. If they're big walkers, before their diagnosis, continue that walking. Take them on walks. Ask them what they see. I love to be able to encourage when walking is not just a walk. It's an adventure. And so we start our day with that. I love that. And it gets them motivated. Nutrition is big for them as well. So keeping their nutrition up is a large part of their day. But yes, that's how we navigate for person-centered care. Tap into that life story of theirs. That's very, very, very important. I can't stress that enough, to be able to focus on reminiscing. They feel comfort in that. A lot of our clients, residents, they feel comfortable when you talk about pictures and you show them the pictures and say, we took a trip, and never started do you remember when we took a trip? I always say, we took a trip to the mountains and we saw, whatever you saw, however the adventure went. Include them in it without using the words remember when.
Yeah, so we know that there's a lot of things that, when when you have someone that's the diagnosis, you don't argue with them, don't
Right.
ask to remember, because I had a client recently that was asking his dad, it's like, Dad, you know who I am, right? And I'm like, don't ask Dad. And I'll say, don't ask him. And because at some point in time, he got it right that time, but at some point in time, he's not. And it's going to be very frustrating for him. So it's
Right.
really, really can be, difficult. How do you, how do you in your day, because, there's so many different types of dementia, so many different, people are so different. How do you navigate the different ways that people go through the day in one place?
Right. So that's again going back to the person centered care approach. That's going back to each tax is going to be different. Training, educating your staff, educating your families on what that looks like for them. So if you have a late riser, a resident that is not used to eating breakfast at home and they want to sleep in, well, we're going to encourage that routine. But we also want to encourage it with we look at it a bigger picture. So we want to know, why are they sleeping in? Is it pain? Were they up all night? Did they not get a good night's sleep? Why is it, or is it just their routine? Is this just what they like to do? Do they like to be greeted with a cup of coffee early in the morning? Well, we'd like to have that for them. We want to be able to, when they transition into a community, if that's the case, we want those routines to mimic. They need to be mirrored as best possible, because that allows for a more streamlined approach, that allows for a better revolving, just it just keeps the flow, the life transition, it just keeps the flow better.
So when you're meeting with a client for the first time,
Mhm.
okay, or the family member bringing the client in, do you have a laundry list of questions that you asked to work on that person-centered plan? I mean, I'm assuming that you have some very, some guidelines that say, so, because you want to make sure you get that right all the time. So do you have a, a list that you go through to try to figure out where this person fits in, and what kinds of things they like to do?
Right, we do. And we want to get that information right when they start looking. But I also like to capture that as we're going on the tour. Tell me about your loved one. Just tell me about them. And they start expressing, because they're so excited that you want to learn about them and know about them. And even they'll bring their loved one sometimes on the tour. And I do love that, because we can see, what their interests are. If there's an activity going on and they want to go towards it. If they are walkers, well, while their loved one's getting a tour, I might take them for a walk, because I'm truly wanting to capture what it is that that this family is needing. Each community offers different things. They might have more of support for a family member as a support group. They might have a walking club. They might have outings, and that's big for the loved one. And they go to these places that they've used to go to, that the family member feels that, yes, they truly, would love that. You have to capture it, because not every person is beneficial to one particular memory care. It's what in that memory care would best suit their loved one. So what can our memory care bring to them? And so that's how I capture it. We also look at the challenging behaviors that a resident might have at home. What are those looking like? What time of day? I'd like to know everything. I do have a questionnaire, but I'm so talkative that I love to just hear it from them. So I use it as just a reference tool, but I like to hear it. I like to actually go to the home, if possible, to our residents. I like to see what things are looking like in that current environment, to see what we need to adapt to us to make that transition successful.
Do you find that really helps in doing that home visit before someone actually comes to the facility?
I do. And I don't ever introduce myself as I'm so and so from so and so community. I just come in, I'm here to see, to visit you and visit whoever the loved one is. I do love to come and do assessments in the home so I can see what that environment looks like for that loved one, to prepare the staff as well as myself in the community.
So I know a lot of families have real difficulty when they get to this point. And so, how do you navigate that in the sense of, because I see a lot of clients are like, oh no, we're going to keep our person home as long as possible. And as long as we can keep them home, we're going to keep them at home. And a lot of times to their detriment, so how do you help that loved one make that transition easier when you're in the home now, so you're meeting them for the first
Mhm.
time, so how do you make that caregiver, because that's
Right.
usually is, how do you make them feel comfortable enough so that they know that giving mom or dad or grandma and grandpa to you is the right decision?
Right. So they suffer with a lot of grief, anger. It's truly they're grieving the loved one that they knew, um, and that's a hard thing for loved ones to deal with. And so I always like to offer, instead of just from home to moving into a facility, come visit us, come have lunch, dinner, breakfast, do pop-in visits with us. I love to just have where they come and do a couple of activities. I also invite the potential resident out on outings. We'll invite the loved one to support groups to come and see what other families have to say about our community, just about the struggles that they're going through as well. We offer that as a huge support. And then we also let them know other resources that we have that we bring into the community, including psychotherapy, an in-house doctor, things that the families constantly, how am I going to get them to the doctor? They're not at home now. What best time should I do this? They're really struggling with literally every day. And plus, they've spent so much time caring for that loved one all day long that they're having that separation anxiety of what if this is the best decision? How will I know? I keep families I'm very communicative with my families, and I don't just call them for the low points in our day. I call them for all the hurrahs. And that's very big for me, to make sure that they see pictures, they see videos, they see how their day's looking. And I want to keep them involved as much as possible.
So that's awesome. Make no mistake, that's awesome. But how do you get, family engagement, how do you get them involved when they may or may not want to be involved?
Right. So I let them know early on how I communicate and how I lead a memory care neighborhood. I also let them know that we have, most of the time, in most communities, all communities I've been in, we have family nights, and we offer that as a fun night to come in. And it not only allows you interaction with your loved one-on-one, but it also allows you to, it's like a community. We're like one big family, and it allows you to talk with others and other loved ones. And they really love it because they can all sit together and laugh and have fun. And it takes the pressure off of just when you come visit and your loved one might just kind of look at you, but then kind of wander off. And then I have families get really, really sad about that. And they feel when they were at home, they knew me because you were the caregiver. I always also tell them that it's not just the person, it's, how you're making them feel. So even sitting by them and just talking with them, you might be a stranger in their mind, but they know how you made them feel. And so they enjoy that. So you're just building a different type of relationship. And I support it. I do not have visiting hours, unless, of course, the resident's sleeping. But I allow them very much a part. They are literally part of our family in that neighborhood.
And so, what are some difficult situations that patients and families must navigate, when they're, that's all related to the dementia or Alzheimer's care?
So I would say the difficult situations is the transitions. So knowing when they're transitioning to another stage in their dementia journey, what that looks like, and how clinical comes into play, how their day changes, how their programming is changing. Several communities have different they have different stages in their neighborhoods. So they might have more higher functioning neighborhood and adjoining to a lower functioning neighborhood. So the programming in that lower functioning neighborhood would better suit. So you might make a transition in the neighborhood to a different area of that neighborhood to serve those residents. So you're around all like cohorts, and that's very important for families too. I want them to be, our residents to be surrounded by like cohorts with similar attributes. They're navigating similar journeys. And so socially, that allows them to still thrive. And I always want to support their quality of life the best as possible.
So this has been phenomenal, and it's so awesome to talk to people that really know their stuff, and so
Thank you.
So if somebody wants to get in touch with you to get you to help them through their process, how do they find you?
Right. So they will find me at mesquitetherapy.com. Our phone number is 512-686-4346. And our referral line is referral@mesquitetherapy.com. We are Mesquite Psychotherapy and Consulting. And my name is Brittany Bain.
And thanks, Brittany, so much for being on the show. I always enjoy, guests and can give such good information, to our listeners. And we look forward to having you on again soon.
Thank you, Kim. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Life Happens with Kim Hegwood. Be sure to tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. wherever you listen to your podcast as we navigate through the challenges that emerge as life happens. The content of this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship or constitute attorney-client privilege, legal, medical, financial, or any other professional advice.